Hello, how are we doing?
All right, how are you doing?
Yeah, I'm all right. Yeah. This is for those of you who don't know, this is Scarlett and I'm Joby. And you may well know, but we've done this book together. Da, da, da. Um, which I dare say, generally speaking, I might get more credit for, but I couldn't have done it without you. And that's the truth of it.
I couldn't have done it without you.
No, so there you go. Collaboration.
Yep.
We could have done it without Peter, but we do appreciate what he did.
We do really appreciate it.
It was very nice. So Sir Peter Blake's name on it, and what a lovely forward he wrote. He did write. It took him a while because I think he wrote a longer forward, and his good wife told him, no, that's too long. It won't fit. It's too much about you. I actually really want to know what he wrote.
I really want to know what that was as well. It sounded really interesting.
Yeah, it'd be fun. It'd be fun to do a Zoom call with him and find out his passion for Signwriting. I'm not doing very well today. I haven't got the Carter's Cup. I've got.
That's not very brand aware.
I've got the T-shirt.
Yeah, I've not got anything Carter's upon me actually, which is
apart from the book.
Apart from the book, which I have on my person all the time. Obviously, I carry it around.
And the artwork in the background.
Yes, Joby Carter original.
Yeah, it's very good. I'd say that's circa 1992, actually. Quite possibly.
Strikers, isn't it?
Yes, from the strike. It's still on chains, that one, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Wow,
so when Tim hits it with the tennis ball and he's playing with the dog, it knocks it, makes it more exciting. It's like pinball in here.
But now I'm going to ask you, for the viewers at home, how on earth did you become friends with those wretched people, the Carters?
Those retrobates.
Yes.
Yeah, well, years and years ago, I was making a magazine. I think it was a quarterly magazine called The Dirty Mag, which was basically all about old things and people who like old things and look after them and mend them and collect them and all sorts of things. And also people who make new stuff using old skills, which is something I've always been really interested in. And because I'm down in Kent, I heard that Carter's was going to be at Margate. So you did a couple of seasons or a couple of little weekends on the Dreamland, or just once?
We did a weekend, and we did really well. And then the next year we went back for the half term.
I think it might have been the weekend. I can't remember now. But I'd arranged with your mum, Anna, to have a chat with her about the fair for the magazine. And so I went over there and had a chat with her in a wagon, and it was really interesting, and I wrote loads of stuff down. But I was sort of thinking, it's all here in front of us. You know, what more is there to say than what there is? It's so spectacular when you go to the fair, but there must be more to it. And as I was leaving, I bumped into you, and you said, if you really want to know what goes on, you have to come to the yard in the winter. And that was where it just suddenly all came together, and it was like, oh, this is fascinating. You know, there's so much that goes on behind the scenes. And then a while after that, after the magazine had come out, you rang me up. I was at some I remember it was like something, it was some sort of vintage car thing up in Cheshire. It was like racing 20s cars and stuff, and I was just watching this car crashing into a hay bale as you rang me and said that you wanted a new website. And me being a designer, I thought, oh, okay, I can do that. But you were thinking I was a writer because I'd written an article about you in a magazine. But yeah, from that point on, we were mates, really, weren't we? We sort of picked up from there.
Like-minded and like old junk stuff, and trying to make it usable.
Yeah.
And mostly we've done hundreds of posters together, haven't we?
Yeah, that is our oeuvre, or whatever the word is.
I can remember the last one, the one which we've kind of basically stuck with now, because I said I'd keep it like that. You know me, I never change anything. And we must have bounced that backwards and forwards 50 times.
It was a lot of change.
It could be the stupidest little thing, but when you and sometimes I'll print a poster off and I'll put it far away and think, can I read that in a shop? And but you know, it's helped. You've helped build our brand awareness.
Well, it's been really interesting and really fun, obviously, working with you and working for the fair, because right at the very beginning, when I first sort of came on board to do the posters and things, I mean, this was, I don't know how long ago it was now, 10 years or something?
10 years.
I don't know. But when I first sort of started doing the posters, we were very, very careful to keep it as close to your dad's sort of vision for the posters as we could, because of course he had passed away, and it was all sort of in your mum's hands, and we were trying to honour his idea of what they should look like and not stray too far away from it. And I think as time's gone on, we've got a bit braver.
Yeah, and also I've got a little bit older, and now I'm actually running the fair, and I can just straight make the decisions. I haven't got to run it past the visuals of it past anyone else.
Yeah.
And you kind of, as you get older, you come into your own, I think.
Definitely.
And I think just by keeping the fair alive ultimately is a homage to Dad. And we're fast approaching 20 years that he's passed away this December. So you can't keep doing things thinking, what would Dad think? You sort of become. You've got a jukebox. I've not seen that jukebox before. How exciting! Sorry, I'm just looking in the background.
Seaberg. Yeah, hasn't actually got any records in it because it's so full of dust now that I'm worried it's a fire risk.
Oh goodness!
So we took all the records out. I really need to find someone to overhaul it.
Well, I know a man.
Oh well, we'll have to chat about that later.
So obviously we've known one another ages, and you're into your art and so on and so forth. And I dare say we toyed with a book for about 10 years.
I think probably, yeah. Once we realised that we had similar sort of backgrounds and similar interests and stuff, I think, and also because one of the things is that I really wanted to be a signwriter when I was a teenager. And I tried to find someone to teach me. And I grew up in Lancashire, and where I lived, the people who were still working were getting on a bit and didn't want to train somebody fresh because they thought there was no business in it.
And also there was concern that they teach you and you didn't nick their work.
Of course, there's that as well. Yeah, of course. So I couldn't find an apprenticeship or anything. And so I'd kind of taught myself from books and trying to read between the lines in Victorian manuals about what might be the modern equivalent of distemper and stuff. It's just really hard work doing it that way. So, but yeah, my background also is in lettering. So we had a bit of a sort of connection on that side as well. So the book seemed an obvious thing to do.
But I think back then, in my head, the book was going to be a big coffee table hardback, 40, 50 quid, just full of lush photos and so on and so forth. But then, as many people will know, I've been doing courses nearly 14 years now, which is crazy, in person. And I started off teaching 8 people at a time. And then I got a bigger workshop. And then I also got smaller tables and could teach up to 15, sometimes 16 people at a time. And I love it. And then I really missed it. And I just had to postpone some recently. And we put them back to March, hoping everything will be all right. Just being responsible, really, with the pandemic. And I do really miss the courses. I enjoy it. And of course, when lockdown kicked in, and I thought, well, and I totally poo-pooed the idea literally a month before of online courses. I thought, that's ridiculous. I thought, well, I've got to have a go, haven't I? I've got to try and make some money. And that's when I called you and said, right, I need to do worksheets different to what I've done before, because I was going to be teaching people via Zoom and I can't see their work because I was doing mass numbers. So then you did some worksheets. And then I thought, well, I want to do do brush strokes. That will be another course I can do, but I needed you to do a worksheet. And I did fancy letter. And then each time I got you to make these worksheets based on nonsense that I said, and you put it in some sense. And then it was sort of, we had a chat, didn't we? And I said, we kind of got the basics for a book here, because normally the courses I do, they don't get a worksheet. They just get one worksheet to work from, and then I just explain it through.
And also those worksheets that we'd made before for the physical courses, we'd kind of done quickly, just like while I was with you.
Yeah.
Before, like the night before the course, just like printed out a few words for people to practice their shadows on and stuff like that.
Yeah, that was a fancy lettering one. And so, yeah, and they were fine for that. But this was, and what we said to one another was, it right, we still want people reading this book and its relevance in 100 years' time.
Yeah.
When we're pushing up the daisies.
Yeah.
So going from that perspective of trying to make something that lasts longer than just a 5-minute whim, and also from my self-diagnosis of being dyslexic, and you telling me I am, and I do struggle terribly, of hating reading, that it's very much from the approach of being user-friendly.
Absolutely. And something, I mean, right from this, when I was doing the Dirty Magazine, it was something I really was quite sort of strong about, was making sure that it's really easily readable for dyslexics, because a lot of creative people are dyslexic, a lot of engineers are dyslexic, the sort of people who are interested in that sort of thing often are dyslexic. They work with their hands.
Yes.
And so it's something I've always felt very strongly about, trying to make things accessible. And it was something that we worked really hard with this one, wasn't it? Partly because if I wanted you to read any of it, I had to make it as easy to read as possible.
This is a funny thing, is I haven't actually read this book yet. I've read it on computer, but I haven't read the book yet.
Well, you've had enough of it. You've had to read it. Well, I've read it to you, and then you've read it yourself once or twice nearly. Yeah,
no, I have. I was quite impressed that I even managed it, but I found it really grueling. But there's things in there, and I was speaking to Dom last night, and he was saying, this was a really useful page with a bit in black and white, and it's nearly all things that. I just noticed a spelling mistake. You spelled colour wrong.
What?
No, I'm joking.
I wouldn't put it past me. It's always the moment when you've actually got the book in your hand where you see all the mistakes.
We were a bit nervous, weren't we? We're a bit nervous.
I don't mind the odd spelling mistake. It's something, if it's, you got all the pages in the wrong order or something, it's worse.
And what was the bit I was looking for? Oh, I can't find it. I can't find it now. There was a bit about the with all those R's. I was thinking.
With the block.
With a block, but because there's like 12 R's, and you did them in different colours. Yeah, do you remember you did that in different colours, and then decided that actually made it harder to read?
I tried lots of ways of doing that, because it's really tricky to read that block of text and be able to refer to each letter and go back to the numbers. And in the end, I think I coloured the numbers so that you can see them clearer.
That was a page Barack Obama was struggling with, I think.
Don't blame him. So I'm surprised Barack Obama wasn't struggling with offset bevel. It drove me absolutely balmy trying to draw that.
Well, that's almost a contrary page, isn't it? It's like beveling's hard enough to get your head round. Now get your head round offset beveling.
And for some reason, I chose to do it on an N, and it was really difficult. And Joby in fact, he sent me a message saying, "Sorry, but that N is foobar." And I just had to try and draw it again. I made it an H in the end.
Yeah, the N became a H, didn't it? And then you put it at an angle, and you really overcomplicated it for no good reason.
Oh, I do like to make my life difficult.
Yeah.
One of the strange things about this, of course, is that a lot of this stuff is much easier to draw on paper than it is on a computer. You'd think that a computer would be more straightforward because it's kind of mathematical in some way. But actually, some of this stuff, I was basically replicating how you draw it on paper on the computer to try and make it work. Because, it's hard work.
But I was proud of it before people saw it, and now people have seen it. I'm very proud of it, because I'm not only getting complete novices who love it. I'm getting lifetime sign writers who are saying it's the best book, sign writing book.
That's such a lovely thing. It means everything, doesn't it? That
totally. And
we were very worried about it coming across as being somehow preachy, or like trying to make out this is the way you do stuff. And so I think it's really good that people have recognised this is just one way of doing things, and
totally.
Yeah.
So there are other books out there, and I've only ever read one other signwriting book I think I was about 14. My dad bought me this one, and it was an American one, and I didn't trust it then. It was just different to the way we do it. I could see it was different, and it was sort of like, yeah, not for me. And other than that, basically, I just look at the pictures, and what I know and what I teach is what I've been taught by Stan and what I've developed myself, because I've just taught hundreds and hundreds of people. So to try and get something across, and the fact you've kept explaining it, you find the easiest way of explaining that, and that's what this book is. Although sometimes it's hard to convey what you can say verbally to putting it into words, and that was the challenge, really, wasn't it? It
was, yeah, because we had a choice really at the beginning whether to write it sort of third person, and Joby would do this and Aaron would do that, or to do it as though it's you speaking. And actually in the end, because a lot of it was me and you like this on Zoom chatting, I transcribed a lot of what you said and used some of that in the words, so that it kind of has you speaking. In fact, my mum sent me a message last night. She was reading a bit where it says, and this little fella here, when you've got the bit of cards and you're moving it down the A, and it said, you could just move this little fella here. And he said, oh, that's just so Joby.
Is it actually written in the book like that then?
Yeah, I wrote it on purpose like that, because I just thought, let's put it in your words, make it obviously you speaking, because I think one of the things that a couple of people have said to me that's really nice about it is that how friendly it is, and how personable. We're not trying to be all professional, are we?
No, but passionate about it, and that's the whole thing. And look, the bottom line is, if I carped it tomorrow, it's a legacy people can refer to. This is a way that obviously people must like the way I do things, because people keep doing the courses, or they like my jokes, one or the other. But
that's probably.
And of course there is the danger that now you can buy the book, you don't need to do one of my courses. And quite frankly, it is cheap, and that's just one complaint people have made, is too cheap. But no, they're lying.
I think it's important to make it accessible for as many
people. Totally, and that's it. I would rather sell 1,000 books at 20 quid than 500 at 40.
Yeah.
It gets it out there and it spreads the word, and it just intrigues people. And a badly drawn block or shadow on Instagram upsets me. And if I can, I'm hoping that this will just phase people.
It'll gently spread. Yeah.
Something that tickled me slightly was someone who was actually on the Horses for Courses group, so they'd be familiar with it anyway, but someone had done an example and they just called it ship, not thick and thin. It was just, so ship is now a thing.
That's great. It's creeping like an incredible fungus.
Yeah.
I mean, one of the things I think was really nice about putting something like this together is having a lot of really good inspiration all in one place. So it doesn't, even if you're not a signwriter, if you're a graphic designer or an illustrator or a tattoo artist or something, even if you're just interested in color relativity, or there's all kinds of stuff in there that people can refer to, when they're stuck, when you've got a stuck moment and you just want a bit of an idea,
bit of an inspiration. And there's a lot of learnings in now. I don't know if that's good English, but there is a
lot of learnings. It's true,
a lot crammed in. I think we're 140 pages, but it feels like more, if you know what I mean. There's loads in it, so no, it was fun to do. We just want to know what we're going to do next, don't we?
Yeah, trying to come up with a new thing. Yeah. As usual. I mean, that's just normal for us anyway.
19.
But I mean, people say, don't they, that good comes from bad, and obviously this year's been really tough for a lot of reasons, not least because the fair can't go out. But in a funny kind of way, that's really benefited us in this particular sense, because we've been talking about this book for so long, and the fair is so all-encompassing and so busy, you just never have the time.
I never have the time, and then I've done all sorts of things that I never would have had the time, and it really has made me appreciate how all engrossing the fair is. I mean, I've virtually sort of had a 9 to 5 life this year, and I don't think I don't think people realise when they come to the fair how kind of engrossing it is for the people that are working on it, and especially if you own it. I mean, it really is. It's like a jacket you're wearing, you know, that weighs an awful lot, and I love it. But you know, there's all sorts of things I've done, from doing loads of cycling in the first half of the year in the beautiful weather, and keeping chickens, and doing lots of painting first time around, painting signs and selling them, and just doing things I wanted to do, and inventing new fonts and so on and so forth. And of course, this book, and you know, there was the race to see how long. I mean, you were on it solid, weren't you? And then we're doing a Zoom call or two a day. And
yeah, because of course we had the idea in, I mean, the official idea in September or something. No, it can't. No, that can't be right. No, I had it done in September. It was 3 months, wasn't it? Pretty much.
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was less, but you said it was 3. You must know from.
Well, not necessarily. It might have been less. I just remember it being very quick.
Yeah,
because we really wanted to get it out for Christmas this year. Not least because you need the money coming in for the fair and everything.
And knowing that these things take longer than you thought. You know, we thought it could have ended up January, February. So went for it. And it was like, I think it was me doing the front cover that was holding up in the end.
It was a race at the end to see who was going to hold us up more.
But you know, the front cover was fun, and of course, if you're doing a book about hand painted signwriting, then you've got to paint the front cover, and even that's hand paint, not on there.
No, that would be a bit
silly, but that's there, and yeah, it was fun, and it's quite distinctive, isn't it? The book, the colours and so on and so forth.
Oh, definitely. I think, you know, it stands out, doesn't it?
Yeah. Slightly milked it a little bit on the internet, so people might have been.
They might be sick to death of it by now. My
father-in-law asked if Harry Redknapp really bought a book, a cup, and a poster.
I was trying really hard to make that Photoshop job really obvious, but it clearly didn't work.
Oh dear. Oh, it's just a bit of fun, isn't it? But
it's been really, I think it's been really nice for us actually to spend some time together doing this. And I think also, like in normal times when the fair's out, often a lot of the way that we work is you tell me to do something and I just go off and do it and bring it back, and you say, no, that's shit. Then I'll do it again. And so it's really lovely to have done something which is really collaborative.
Yeah, very much so. And it's such a pretty looking book. I wonder, you never know with these things. It might look really dated, like things from the 70s look dated now. But you know, I love this. So just, you know, the brown and the bits cross in, and this creased bit here, someone thought their book had got damaged. They posted a picture, and someone said they like the fact it looks like a sketchbook because it's just got my you know, things in and stuff, and there's a nice poster available from our website. Nice.
I just thought it'd be nice to do it in a way that feels very sort of informal.
Yeah,
it's the sort of book you can have in the workshop and it doesn't matter too much.
You're meant to be able to put it backwards and read it. It's not a Ponzi book, is it? You're meant to read it and read it, and that's a good page because that explains how we made it. Now, that won't have as much relevance now as it will in 20 years' time, when an 18-year-old's reading it and
thinking, what's Zoom?
What? Yeah. But just like the pandemic, and also that my dreadful bit of lettering that actually makes people, you know, realise that I started somewhere. And
I think it's really good to have stuff like that in it. And one of the things that somebody said to me about the book is how nice it is that we're not saying, you know, that everything has to be perfect. There are examples in the book of things that aren't quite like strictly accurate, but they still look right and they still work nicely. It doesn't matter completely if your block isn't, you know, completely scientifically accurate.
No, but what, and I totally agree, because I love other signwriters' work, and sometimes they do things which I'm like, well, that's not right, but I think, but God, it works. And even Stan, you know, Stan sometimes does his block where it's not going back at 45 degrees where it should, but it's right, and often they're done because it comes easier off the brush or whatever, and it's stylized. But if you give people the knowledge to be able to work it out accurately, and then they have a bit of artistic license, that's fine. But a lot of people just don't understand it. So this is, from a very technical point of view, that my mind ticks like that. So I'm sort of helping people that and showing them that, hopefully that, because sometimes I'm doing the course and I'm trying to teach someone block or shadow, and it might be a day later when suddenly they have an epiphany, and it is literally like eureka, I get it now, I get it, and that's it. They've got the system and they can do it, and their life has just been made so much easier. And that can include people that have been signwriting years.
Yeah, I mean, your systems that you've devised are so good, I mean, because they're so clear and simple. And obviously, people's minds work in different ways, and some people find it immediately obvious, and some people find it really difficult to get their heads around. But having those visual systems really work.
Yeah, and your drawings do a great job of doing it step by step. And did you take screenshots of the Zoom?
I did. I took screenshots. I took screenshots of the Zoom call, and then edited out all the hairs.
But I think we should give people that option of drawing the hairs back in.
Well, anybody's perfectly entitled to draw hairs on their own book.
But wouldn't that be good? Wouldn't that be good? I could do a competition. Where is it? So the person who draws the most accurate hairs.
Page 50 and 51. Yeah, if you can get accurate hairs on there, you win a prize.
You win a prize. That's a really fun idea, isn't it? I should do that.
Yeah, when I say accurate, it has to be the right number.
Oh, definitely. That's quite funny. That We'll Meet Again one, that's since been, I was looking at it the other day, that's since been sliced and made so it fits better. It was too tight, so I sliced it and moved them apart, and it fitted better on the thing. And I did a post on Instagram the other day, and I was clearly showing some drawings where I hacked them about, because I'm doing a course on layout. I thought it's good when you balls things up. The skill is knowing how to dig your way out of it.
Absolutely. Someone once told me that is the difference between a professional and an amateur is a professional knows how to correct their mistakes. Yeah.
And that's it. And also knowing when they're wrong. That's the thing. But yeah, no, it's very nice to have the book out, and it's nice that people are still buying it, and long may it continue. I hope it's
so pleased with how popular it's been and how many people have bought it, and the lovely things people have been saying is great. It's lovely. Yeah, there's nothing quite like putting a book out into the world and then seeing people enjoying it.
But it's so nice that books are still so popular, aren't they? I mean, you also completed this year I really struggle saying this, Ragged Trousers Philanthropist.
Don't worry, the Ragged Trousers Philanthropist is the worst possible title for a book, but it's an adaptation of a book that was written in 1910, and we've done a graphic novel adaptation of it, me and my sister Sophie.
But you can buy it direct from you, and your website is
rickardsisters.com.
But yeah, unlike me,
look at this. This here's some branding. This is the book. It's very fat. Oh, I've just dropped it out. Using my daughter's bookmark.
Unlike my book, yours is also available on Amazon. But
yeah, well, you don't have to buy it from them, though, dear.
Some of these capitalists out there.
Well, we have a publisher, so they just handle all of that stuff.
All right. Self-published.
Not wrong with self-publishing.
It's all right for some, isn't it? No, I'm very pleased I did it that way, because I did, as I spoke to you before, coincidentally at the point of us starting this, just complete coincidence, someone rang me up, a publisher, and was like, would you ever consider doing a Signwriting book? Yeah, I'm doing it.
I think honestly we would never have been able to turn it around as fast if we'd done it with a publisher. It would probably not be coming out till next year or the year after. Because
you over the last 10 years have been subject to me, lastminute.com. Can you just do this? When do you need that by? Yesterday? It's quite frequent, isn't it? And yeah. But you do have to feel sorry for my dear loving wife George, who puts up with this on a daily basis. Just my random ideas, and one of them was a constant idea source. It's like you have like ideas diarrhea, don't you? basically, and they normally happen in the toilet, not the diarrhea. The toilet is a good thinking spot for me, and actually when I'm sleeping, I will wake up and it's like, oh shit. And poor George, she rolls her eyes, and what we come up with now. And the book was one of those, because it's all right, we're talking about. And like I say, this wasn't the book that we had in mind.
No.
This was, it really is it's come out of the pandemic, and then because of the online courses and something to go with it, and so yeah, it's all good.
It is. It's and it's lovely to do something, and we'll just have to come up with the next one now. What we're going to do next?
Yeah,
people need to tell us what they want.
Yeah. Normally, what is it? Normally, face masks. Is the octopus out, and where's the dive bomber? That's the main.
Where are the fireworks?
Where are in the sky?
What time and where are they? Yeah. I've had the whole year of not being asked that question. Is quite unusual.
No one has asked when are the fireworks.
No.
But they're still asking, is the octopus coming out?
Well, is anything?
Well,
fingers crossed.
We hope so.
Yeah. Well, it will eventually. We'll all be all right in the end, I'm sure.
What was your favourite chapter or bit to welcome book? By the way, Stan loved that.
Oh, I'm so pleased. That was one of my favourite photographs that I'd taken.
Yeah.
I did that at Letterheads, I think. Oh, my favourite bit. What's your favourite bit? Just looking at it.
I don't know. So much in here. I've not looked at it before. That's a bit ropey. Bit ropey, that bit of lettering.
Yeah, that was your least favourite bit.
Yeah, that was my least favourite. But it shows what happens to signwriting that you did in the early 90s that has been touched up, sometimes badly, in the last 25 years. Very badly looking at it, but it's
just don't look at it too hard. No. I thought it was good to show. I think people really like to see stuff that's got a bit of life to it, that's had age, and and
it's quite really funny, that page there. I think I did that last year, that bit of about this time last year, because I saw something, when you look at your photos the year ago, and I still haven't left the yard. Which is just mad.
Yeah, it's so odd, isn't it?
It is just mad. But I was really interested in that Broadway. Maybe I just hadn't really looked before, and a lot of what we've got here is real pointers that people might not register. And I've not looked at this closely. That this fin stroke actually almost goes to, I don't know quite how to describe it. I'm sure you have described it. It's round, and it also gets a little bit bigger. Yeah,
it goes to a sort of blob, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. Almost like the sort of drip of honey or something.
Yeah.
I just never clocked that before. Now, there will be different versions of Broadway, and I dare say when I've copied it, it's been from the lecture set book, and it probably hasn't got that detail. It's probably just straight, but it's just really interesting to, and I think all the little pointers and arrows pointing at things will make people, notice stuff more, basically.
It was really fun doing those, wasn't it? Because I'd sort of point at a load of stuff that I'd noticed and then send it to you, and you'd go, and have you seen this? And look at how this does that. And so you'd notice things I didn't, and I noticed things you didn't. It was really interesting.
Dark maroon.
That was annoying.
Can you see now?
No. Because of the nature of photography and printing, some of the colours aren't exactly how they are in real life, and so when Joby sent me that photograph, that lettering looks like it's black, but actually he insists it's dark maroon. Still
actually, very, so you put very dark maroon in.
Yeah.
Churlish.
Well, I couldn't with all conscience write this is dark maroon when it clearly is black in the print.
But no, that is dark maroon. But interestingly, there's a case in point of because that green block has been done without marking out, just by a brush, and actually if you look at that bit under there, it's not 45 degrees, so that's the kind of classic, the paintbrush doing the work, not technically being correct, but
that's one of the lovely things about folk art, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's the nature of the job that happens.
But oh yeah, so and this was so this one not having numbers is a result of the fact that
we just gave up on that, didn't we?
sorry, because it's with a centre flourish, it just didn't suit numbers, did it? It looked a bloody mess. So we yes, sorry guys.
Yeah, you just have to make them up.
What was it? Do you remember the R was a bit flat and the P?
It was the P, yeah, and you just yeah.
I think I reminded you about 8 times before you corrected it.
I know. Well, I was busy looking at other bits. Yeah. Well, you just written ugly in the middle of it.
Not descriptive enough.
Not clear about what it was that you thought was wrong.
And that's another thing. And if I find a slightly simpler font, so how Stan taught me and how there are lessons in here, because I was teaching online, it made me study fonts more than I'd ever had to, and even, you know, like the X being where is it there? The X not being in line with one another, slightly offset. That as a sign writer you might not normally do it, but actually if you look at typography, there's all these little things when you really study it, and that's just what this is trying to make people do. And although studying it that hard, you might not actually do it when you're sign writing, but to have appreciated it, to really studied it, it just helps dividend. And it's helped teaching people online has actually helped me, you know, with my sign writing knowledge, you know.
It's fascinating, isn't it? The amount of thought that goes into designing the typeface.
Yeah, it shocked me, to be honest. Scaling up, look at those hands.
This is my favourite page, I think. I just really like the layout of it.
It is nice.
Yeah, I mean, I know it's got no letters on it, but I just like the layout.
Pictures of dippers and palettes.
Yeah.
Don't you? The letter spacing and layout, that's good and informative. That was mostly you, that, wasn't it? To be honest.
Oh, letter spacing, yeah, it was.
Someone tagged this book next to a Victorian book with that same method. It was
oh, how brilliant!
Yeah, I think it was on my stories or something, and it's like, yeah, not that, you know. I'm sure there is original and, you know, not exactly revelation stuff in here, but I'm sure a lot of this has been written.
No, what about the triangle?
Well, that is, you know,
I've never seen a Victorian doing that.
I'll probably get an OBE or something for that.
I would expect, I would hope so, at the very least. Yeah.
Triangle. What is it? What do they stand for? What's it? MBE?
Member of the British Empire.
Triangle of the British Empire. TBE.
I wouldn't really want to be in the British Empire anyway.
What? Oh, come on! It's a great name.
I quite like that.
Yeah, no, that's very good. That's good. I like that. And people
explaining how to draw scrolls.
And a sign writing friend said that's a really informative way of doing strokes.
Brilliant.
And so that's, you know, that page has gone down well. That's a hit. What we got, blending.
Working with Joby, some of the things that always crack me up. This double page spread, which is just a photograph of the swing boats. He said he noticed that there was a bit where it was broken and I had to mend it in Photoshop so that nobody would notice. So
they're all going to look at that page now and wonder what bit.
Yeah, wonder which bit it was. Yeah, I'm just looking now to see if I can spot it.
My eye always is first drawn to a mistake, and so when I teach the courses, if someone's got a board and they lay it out and then they paint it and they bring it to me, what do you think? Instantly, you're if there's a mistake, you'll be drawn to it. If they go and correct that and bring exactly the same thing back, I'll see the next thing.
Yeah.
And that's it. Well, look at it. It's a great photo because we were looking for one because the scrolls aren't as quite as pleasing as they should be. The flicks on them, since they've been done recently and they need correcting. But that was an old photo you found, and in Sod's Law there was a bit of the trim broken. I'm like, no, we can't have that. Can't have that.
It's much easier to fix things in Photoshop than take them back down to the workshop.
Who's gonna know what other pages are? Yeah, no, you know what? It's most I've looked at this book.
It's good, isn't it?
Good, isn't it? I like it.
I'll just like that.
Oh yeah, sell posters as well. Who knew?
Juicy, isn't it?
And that's funny. That's one of the things I painted and sold in lockdown. Now it's in the book. That was quite good fun. That I quite like that. Oh, there's another triangle trick.
I enjoyed doing the sort of breakdown of Fred Fowle as well, which was interesting. Where we took a piece of his original work and zoomed in on it and discussed how he painted it, what order he'd done things in and stuff. That's interesting.
So you remember you left a bit of lettering on there.
Yeah. You had it was trick lettering. You had to read. It was against the photograph. You couldn't read it properly.
See, I do things. So that lettering's since been replaced, and now it says John Carter's Jubilee Steam Gallopers, kind of homage to my dad, but I actually prefer that. Carter's.
You can always repaint it.
Yeah, probably. It was a really fancy bit of lettering I did. Just sometimes you do stuff and you just think, nah, I'm not sure about that.
In a couple of years' time, there'll be so much more Signwriting that we'll just have to do another one.
Yeah, have to do part 2.
So prolific.
That was that's nice.
Yeah, I really like that page as well with Stan.
Truth be known, both me and Aaron were slightly stumped by it because it was T. Smith and Sons, and
that's the skid cars, isn't it?
Yeah, and Aaron had to go, and I was, oh, that's not quite right. We've got to do something. And Stan just came in, and it was Fred Fowles, originally, and Stan just came in and he just saw stuff we didn't see, and it was a fact that the side of the letters were just slightly curved like that, and there was this little subtlety, and it's like he noticed that and drew it in like that, and suddenly it looked right, and we just needed his hand tweaking it, but that's another thing, being a sign writer, there's someone better than you, and there's someone knows more, and being able to accept that and get help where necessary, and for as long as I can drag Stan over, like, from time to time. He came and gave me a little bit of a private tuition on a bit of script recently, and that was the only thing I said to you. If we were going to do anything, we should do a section on script and make a hardback version and put an extra chapter in.
Yeah.
If people wanted that would be a nice thing to do, because he's just he's so good and he's so modest. I said to him the other day when I gave him the book, I said, it wouldn't I wouldn't have done it if it weren't for you teaching me. And he went, don't be silly, you taught yourself. And I didn't. Stan taught me the important bit. I've got my head round the technical side of things. But if you haven't got the bones in the first place, forget all this fancy stuff. And often sometimes people just come and do my fancy lettering course and they haven't done the basic 5-day course.
Everyone always wants to run before they can walk, don't they?
They think, well, that's easy, it's just letters, isn't it? But actually, you've only got to read this book to realise that there's an awful lot to it. You never stop learning. Yeah, that's the page there.
Yeah.
Randomly had some black lettering up here that had to have a bubble behind it.
I can't even remember what it said now. I obviously decided it wasn't worth keeping.
No, that is a fun page, that, because there's people intrigued. They're starting to land abroad now. Someone got a copy in New York and posted to me. So
brilliant.
Yeah, no, it's.
But I mean, there's a book that we both have, which we both love, the Fairground art book, which is something that it's been referred to over and over and over again. I like that as well. And we wanted this to be sort of like the Fairground art book for lettering people, didn't we?
Lettering, but
something you can just refer to if you just need to have a bit of inspiration or see how somebody else might have done something,
and those 2 pages are there because Scarlett can't count.
That is so true.
Doesn't know the divisions of 4.
Divisions of 8, actually. That was the problem.
Okay, I don't know. But it was,
maths has never been my strong point.
No, a nice little filler. So it was jolly good fun, and I'm glad people are finding it, buying it, and long may it continue. We'll just think of new things to work on and make some more posters.
Yep. Come up with something, won't we?
No doubt. I need another cup of tea. Thank
Good
you.
idea.
And now I've got to work out how to end this.
Press leave, I think.
See you later.
See you later. Bye.
Bye.